Alright. What the hell's going on, everybody? Big drama. A huge bug has been found in the Chinese community. Terran units have been found to take double damage when uphill and without highland vision. And vision says probably because you haven't vision. After testing, the bug works just as well for Protoss. Is the result? So basically it goes through, this all started really vaguely, and then this video came up where they're showing in about 130 pixels, maybe 120 pixels, and they're doing it without health point bars on. So you're just assuming the Marines are on full life. We don't know or not. This is possibly the worst display of a bug I've ever seen. But I'm assuming this is just a low-level streamer who doesn't actually, show much. And you're like, what's going on here? So anyway, luckily other people went and tested it. And then immediately, of course, people are like, this is big, and just yet one example of how bad a job the so-called balance team has been doing. Meisenhower correctly says, look, a bug has nothing to do with the balance team, calm down. Obviously, it kind of does in that, yes, non-Blizzard changes go in, they will sometimes create bugs, but there are so many bugs that Blizzard have put in the game over the years as well. The only difference is they're slower to get fixed now. So anyway, if we go over to the Reddit thread, there's actually a lot more information over here. Banelings do double damage to units on a slope. And this person basically references the thread, references the video, and said, look, the origin of the bug traces back to an update presumed to be in January 2023 that added an item to the effect list of Baneling's primary weapon self-destruct named Baneling Volatile Burst Direct Fallback Set. Its direct effect is to inflict self-destruct equivalent damage to primary targets situated on different elevation levels. This change was likely intended to address and fix a bug where Banelings could explode and damage units across cliff levels. However, given that weapon range would not allow for primary weapon attacks on a targets outside of a slope, the effect has now turned into causing double damage when attacking targets on slopes with the primary weapon. It could only be said that the level of temporary coding in StarCraft 2 is just like this. Now, that is a translation this person's taken from the Chinese thread, but it does give us a good bit of info, even though that may sound like absolute gobbledygook for most of you. Basically, what they're saying is, look, a Baneling could damage units on the low ground, but then also units on top of a cliff. So maybe you could run up to a cliff, detonate a Baneling, and kill a unit on the high ground. So they tried to fix that, being like, well, obviously that Baneling splash shouldn't go up there. But basically, it ended up having this unintended side effect of now units on a slope take double damage. Obviously, now that this is known about, this can get fixed, but this sounds massive. People are, of course, reacting in a big way. They're like, this is crazy. But very quickly people realized that it doesn't actually do as much as you thought. All right, guys, so we're going to go in-game, and we're going to show you how the Baneling, if it doesn't directly attack the unit, it doesn't actually do bonus damage. 16 damage is exactly what a Baneling's meant to do to a non-light target. Okay, but what if the Baneling connects directly on it? Let's do that with a full hit point Archon, make that simpler. So is it going to do 16 or 32? It does double damage. 32 damage. So Banelings do double damage to the unit they're attacking. But does that also do splash damage if they attack a unit of double? And the answer is, I'll show you here. Tested this just before. So if we attack the Archon, we do double. But the Zealot only took 35 damage. Remember, Zealot's a light unit. It's meant to take 35. Whereas if we attack a Zealot itself and target it, it should take 70 damage. So it should actually go through the shields and the life, as you can see. What has this actually affected in tournaments, guys? Well, what if people were running mass Banelings in versus Archons? Wouldn't this have made a big difference? No, because when is a Zerg A-moving those? Number one, when are the Archons even on ramps? How often are Archons on a ramp like that? And number two, when is the Zerg actually A-clicking? Unless a Zerg knew about this bug, which there is a chance, and they saw units on a ramp and they chose to attack specifically because of that, there's no reason for them to have done that. They would have been on move command, and those Banelings would have simply just not done double damage. Just done their normal things, right? Yeah. So Has this really made any difference in tournaments? Yes, it has, potentially. I don't think a big one, but it would have been only in this situation. And this would be the real situation where, I mean, we can just go back and clear everything, actually. We'll just get 2 queens, and of course, this is the one scenario. In ZVZ, is a common situation where you're getting rushed, you put your queens on your ramp. Now, I don't know if anyone can find a video of it, but maybe there was a game where someone was so desperately all in, they were willing to sacrifice banelings on queens. And if they did choose to do that, just tank with him. Look how much damage 4 banelings do. They are not meant to do that much damage. You can see they did way more to the queen on the right than the queen on the left, which is, of course, not correct. Because normally, if they're just running around, it takes them forever to kill those queens. But because these guys are actually attacking the queens themselves, they're doing way more. So there's a chance someone could find a ZVZ where someone's queens got busted by banelings attacking them on a ramp. That's the most likely result to have changed as a result of this. Didn't Solar kind of cheese Cyril in Gamers 8? So according to the translation from the Chinese site, they seem to figure out, from people looking in the editor, that this change happened in January 2023. So it's a year ago. Do we end up with queens on the ramp at all? Nope. So guys, we're looking at G8. Doesn't look like queens ever got hit by banelings on ramps from what I can see. Let's check the next wave. No, doesn't really matter. So it doesn't affect game 1. Game 2, he does another Ling Bane bust. And he basically wins just... Oh, it's not even a Bane bust, it's just Zerglings. So it doesn't affect anything here. And then game 3, it's like a hatch gas pool. Oh, if only Cyril knew. He could have blown banelings up on the roaches on the ramp and done double damage to one of the roaches, guys. Yeah, this is one of the cheesier series where I thought we might see queens on a ramp taking double damage to banelings. But after investigating this Gamers 8 series where Solar 3-0'd Cyril, it made no effect. It made no effect at all. If anyone else can find any games where this had an effect in a tournament, I would love to find out about it. I'm sure it did have some tiny, minor, incremental effect once or twice here or there, but I don't know if it was like huge. So anyone who is out there kind of super alarmed, they may be blowing this out of proportion, as bizarre of a bug as it is. And double baneling damage sounds terribly, but when you add in double baneling damage only to the unit it's attacking and only if that unit's on a ramp, suddenly you're like, is this really that big a deal? I don't know, man. Would have been some good drama if we found an example of it there, though. So let's read through the Reddit thread, see if there's anything else good here. Cyril Patchzerg all along confirmed. Stripped the man of his title since 2018. The Emperor has no clothes. Obviously being sarcastic as Yuvo here. He says, but wow, I guess Zergs just never fight on ramps enough for us to have noticed. I guess you never fight into a Terran on a ramp with Ling Bane, and it's so hard to gauge 40 Banelings rolling into 8 Archons on a ramp. It's conceivable that inconsistencies have been missed. Crazy. Yeah. Those Archons might actually live without the double damage the buff protons needed all along. It does need to be fixed, but its effect is extremely limited. First off, you have to be fighting up a ramp into units that are on the ramp as opposed to on the top of a ramp concave, and it only affects the units that the Baneling comes into direct contact with and not the splash damage. So yeah, it's not nothing, but it is almost nothing. Reddit with these surprisingly measured takes here. Dragarius gets an upvote from me. Honestly, I believe I lost quite a few games to a Ling Bane all-in. You run your SCVs up a ramp and try to hold it, but they all blow up, and sometimes your Marines and Hellions too. I really believe I've lost 1 to 2 more games to thriving GG than I need to. So Arnak here, as always, when there's an excuse outside, I love Arnak, by the way, they're a regular in my channel, but as Dragaria says, only the unit coming in contact with, so that Baneling was only doing double damage to one of the SCVs or Hellions that were stacked up. If you died to splash, the bonus damage wasn't actually a factor. I remember seeing an insane old game where Scarlet does crazy damage with Banelings buried on ramps. It's surprising this isn't done more. Once again, wouldn't have made a difference with the bug though, because splash damage is unchanged. And if you detonate them, it's not attacking a target, which means burrowed banelings would need to unburrow and then attack a target, not get killed, which they'll usually get killed as they unburrow, to do the double damage. And they'd still only do it to one target. How come bugs always benefit Zerg? Laugh my ass off, says Wrong Investment. So Wrong Investment wasn't there for the barracks loaded inside the command center bug. No! So this guy's like, why do bugs always benefit Zerg? And he's forgotten about this. So what you could do is you could make a command center and load up to 5 bunkers inside. So this guy made 5 bunkers on one base, loaded them with Marines, loaded them in his command center, and is now sending a goddamn 25 Marine loaded command center to float across the map. Look at its damage output. It's got 25 Marines inside it. It's got 25 Marines inside 5 bunkers inside it. So just remember, bugs come in all shapes and sizes and they've affected all of us. The most toxic mindset you can get in StarCraft is always being like, oh, everything's unfair for my race. It's always so hard for us. It's always so good for everyone else. Remember, there's dumb bugs in every situation. You know, Protoss will be like, well, we didn't have any bugs. There used to be a bug where you could actually spam the stop command on your shield battery overcharge and it could heal way faster. So your shield battery could heal at like 3 times the overcharge rate. So you'd have like basically it was like 6 shield batteries healing at once just by you basically holding down the stop button on your keyboard. It was, you know, and people would be like, why won't this unit die even though it's got an entire army shooting it? Battery overcharge isn't that good, is it? You know, like there's dumb bugs. This one's amazing though. Oh yes, this is a really old one as well. Another really old bug that was hilarious, guys. Basically their AoE, this was in like 2010, 2011. It did damage around the target you were hitting. So an ultra attacking planetaries became very weak in that patch. That was a really painful one, man. You're like, yeah, you do not want to repair planetary fortresses. And you could even, if there was tanks behind the planetary or an army behind it, you could just attack the planetary and kill the army next to it as well. So this was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, there was one where infested Terrans pierced armor. Neuroparasite worked on teleported BC, so you could control it on the other side of the map even after it teleported. Yeah, you could. Abduct disabling Liberator Circle. Oh, so this one, basically Abduct still unsieges Liberators, but it used to leave the Liberator sieged up, but it just couldn't shoot. So you'd have to manually unsiege it and then tell it to siege again, which was a real pain in the butt. Lurker instant burrow after Graviton. So yeah, if your Phoenix picked up a Lurker, it would drop it and it would just drop straight back into the ground. And it was like, oh, come on, at least make them have to re-burrow it. Abduct used to put BC teleport on cooldown as well, apparently. Oh, wow, I don't even remember that one. Obviously, 10 Rage Colossus very recently as well. This is, what the heck? What? WTF? This is a game changer. And surprisingly, lots of people being like, actually, it's not, blah, 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 blah. Burrowed Banelings on ramps might be more of a thing, though. It doesn't affect splash damage, so no. No. Because even if you unburrow those Banelings, they will get killed before they actually attack a target, which means they're only doing splash damage, which means there is no effect. This is a good point from Zondersource, who says, actually, now that this is a known bug, it might go from being inconsequential to actually having a little bit more impact because a Savvy Zerg might be able to use it in push. Oh, look, there's units on the ramp or something. Hey, let's blow up on those. That's a very good point from Zondersource. That's actually the one thing where it might actually make a small difference now that people know about it. Take away Cyril's trophies and ban him permanently? This one's not even ironic, I don't think. Oh, no. So do Colossus always take double damage regardless of ramps? What are you even talking about? What are these guys talking about? I wonder if people will be screaming the same way, how all competitive integrity is gone now, and all Zerg wins are brought into question, kind of like the Colossus range bug. core unit gets an extra range, or core unit gets bonus damage in a situation where it's almost never used, but only to its direct target damage, and it's a unit that almost never directly attacks a target. Slightly different scenario, but obviously, yes, we do need to check if this affected tournaments. That's why my first instinct was to go look at that Serral Solar match. And if people can find other examples, we can do it. But I'm not going to spend the next week just looking through VODs for moments where Banelings attack units on ramps. All right, guys, so let me know if you find any other examples of where you think this has made a difference in a pro match. Please message me, link them to me, post them in the comments. I don't think it's really had much impact on competitive results. It is a funky bug, though. And shout out to whoever it was in the Chinese community who figured that one out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.